Hello, Whovians. This is the third installment of my review of the classic Doctor Who series, The Reign of Terror. The third episode is subtitled A Change of Identity. So the episode starts out with a few scenes that just remind us what happened in the previous episodes. Not like a flashback style, but just in the way that they're talking. And then we have a scene that made me feel like, ooh, this is not going to be a good episode. Because the jailer that was in charge of the jail that Ian, the companion, was in, he does this thing where he's trying to get the key out of the door that he just locked after he gives Ian his food. And he can't get the key out right away, but then he's being called by his superior to come look at something. He needed to check the books for something. And so he's between a rock and a hard place. He wants to go, impress his superior right away, but he's got to get the key out, and he just decides to leave the keys, the whole key ring, in the door. And I can't think of anyone who would be tasked to be in charge of a jail that would ever do that. Ever. It seemed like very sloppy writing to me, and I was dreading what would happen next. But then there was a bit of creative writing, because while the jailer was talking to his superior in another room, of course, Ian reaches down, grabs the keys, and brings them into his cell, takes his key for his door off the key ring, and then takes another key and uses that to hang it back into the door, so that when the jailer comes back, he doesn't think that anything's amiss. And that was pretty creative. Keystone Cops. Where would English literature be without Keystone Cops? So, the next scene after that, there's a nice gunfight scene where Barbara and Susan are rescued from their from their capturers, because they're in the back of this wagon and being taken from one place in the jail system to the guillotine, because they were sentenced to have their heads chopped off. And in the gunfight, it's a lot more realistic than what we would get out of Hollywood or even New Who these days, because they make their one shot count. When they have muskets and hand cannons, you can't have people like Rambo with the invisible shield that makes bullets miss. It's a one shot, one kill situation, and there's realistic smoke coming out of the weapons. So at least the BBC budgeted for that. It was a good scene. Then the next scene was the Doctor had a very strange encounter with a tailor. Just off the first time meeting him. And the Doctor looks through all the clothes that are in this tailor's shop, and he's looking pretty intently for a specific thing. He wants a uniform of somebody who's in high authority. Because I guess the TARDIS didn't have a changing room back then, like it does in later Who, even in later classic Who. So he makes a strange deal with the tailor, and I thought that it was bad writing at first. He just trades the clothes that he's wearing for the clothes of a protectorate of... Hold on. I forget what the title is. Regent of the Protect... I don't know. It's some high military office that he was claiming to have had. And he didn't have to give any paperwork to the tailor to prove this. He just and I'm thinking, I know in New York, if you sell a police uniform to somebody who's not a police officer, it's a crime. Because it's a controlled item. But apparently, during the Reign of Terror in France, anyone could just go into a tailor's shop and say, hey, I'm part of the government and I need that uniform that you just so happen to have for that office that's very rare because it's very high up the food chain in the government. Anyways, the Doctor trades the clothes that he has plus a ring that looks like a Roman ring, like, big fat Super Bowl style ring. And part of the trade is that he needs paper and pen, because back then the Doctor didn't have psychic paper, but he must have been really good at forgery. So, the next scene, Ian sneaks out of the jail. He had a little help because the jailer was knocked out, but that scene just seemed to keep the story moving along. The next scene was with Barbara and Susan and two revolutionary soldiers, Jules and Jean. And in this scene, if you listen closely to everything that they're explaining, it really ties together all of the other scenes in the first two episodes in a way that gave me a better appreciation for the for the loose writing that it looked like it was. All of the scenes were given a tighter narrative by this one scene with Barbara and Susan being basically pumped for information by Jules and John. And Jules and John, they were wanting to confer with a guy named Leon, who was part of this system that was kind of like the Underground Railroad, but French Revolution style Underground Railroad for people who are part of La Resistance, But when he arrives, they seem to not want to question him about the other happenings of the first two episodes, and just prior to his arriving, they were kind of wondering if they might have a mole, and so immediately I'm thinking, oh, Leon's the mole. Why aren't you, asking him questions about what happened? Why are you just taking what Leon has to say to you? Why aren't you being more inquisitive? But I guess it's part of the story. In the next scene, the Doctor had a really, really silly hat in his disguise as part of the government. It kind of looked to me like a Playboy bunny hat thing, where where the one ear is kind of bent more than the other. Yeah. I'm going to put some scenes at the end of this review, just like a montage style, so that everyone can get an idea of what I'm talking about. And again, there was no psychic paper, so when the Doctor was actually questioned about his reasons for being in the jail and trying to question the jailer about the prisoners that were in the jail, when a real member of the government shows up and wants to see his papers, he has to hand him the papers that he was obviously he had forged and were part of the trade with the tailor. So this other member of the government asks the Doctor to go with him to go see Robespierre, because Robespierre's like the evil French authoritative figure. He was basically behind everything in this whole series, the whole struggle. This episode ended on kind of a weak cliffhanger compared to the first two. The tailor shows up at the jailer's after the Doctor and the other guy leave to go see Robespierre, and the tailor's asking the jailer about the Doctor and where they might have gone, and he tells the jailer that he wants to rat out a traitor, and he says he's got proof, and his proof is the ring, the Super Bowl style Roman ring, and I'm thinking to myself, well, how's that connected to the Doctor? Yeah, he had it on his hand when he made the trade, but what's the significance of having a Roman style ring in France? Is it like that traitorous? And even if the tailor shows up right behind the Doctor at Robespierre's, to say, hey, he traded me this ring. I mean, the Doctor's been through a lot worse. He's going to get through that. It's such a weak cliffhanger, but, 3 episodes into a series of 6 episodes, I guess they felt like they didn't need to be over the top with, like in the first episode with the fire and smoke and the Doctor's trapped in the house that's burning. So, yeah. And, let's see. I just want to say that last week when I filled in for Mandamina, that was all in good fun, and I really appreciate her contributions to our collab channel. And I'm not just saying that because she is such a good artist that she could probably very recognizably sketch my face onto a cartoon baboon's ass and show it to everyone tomorrow. I really do appreciate Manda and everyone else on the team. Yeah. So, here's a whole bunch of scenes from this week's episode that I reviewed.
Jailer?
Yes, citizen, yes.
Here. Immediately.
Coming, citizen.
Jailer!
That's very impressive.
Yes, citizen. It signifies the position of regional officer of the provinces.
Yes, I'm quite aware of that. Yes, quite aware. Yes, in fact, it's a post that I myself personally occupy.
I see. I'm sorry, citizen.
Don't apologize. I want to try that on.
Certainly, citizen. The quality is unmatched. And in comparison, the price is...
The price is of no matter. I haven't any money.
No money?
No. I thought possibly we could arrange an exchange.
For this?
What's wrong with it?
Well, it's little better than a fancy dress outfit.
Fancy dress? My dear sir, I doubt if you've seen a coat like it.
I agree.
Am I correct to assume that you're not interested?
You realize there is not much call for a...
Have you had a similar coat like this in your shop?
Never.
Then I can understand why there has been no call.
It is a heavy material, I grant you, and perhaps with a few alterations. You're offering the entire outfit?
Exactly, of course.
Yes, well, I shall require something else, too. Like that ring you're wearing, for example.
You may have it, providing you agree to let me have parchment and writing materials into the bargain.
Very well.
Then we have a bargain, my dear sir. Get me in your clothes. I can have you shop at dawn. Get me down with you. Ah, that's better. Thank you. Close them again. You don't want all the prisoners to escape, do you? Who is in charge of this prison?
Elementary. The citizen here has been inquiring.
Yes, I heard what was said. Your papers, citizen.